Bucks fans. Welcome to Buck Life, the popular Milwaukee Buck fan podcast. Well, we hope to be popular anyways. Made by hardcore Milwaukee Bucks fans for hardcore Milwaukee Bucks fans. My name is Jacob Anderson, and with me as always is my co-host Chuck Schilling. How are we doing tonight, Charles?
Yeah, not too bad. Winter's finally here. For those of you in the Milwaukee area, we've had a warm winter. It's been a bit chilly the last week, but other than that, life is pretty good.
Well, and the beat rolls on as far as the Bucks go. The tank is well on track. Having said that, I want to introduce our special co-host again for the third time. Three-peat. I think this is our first three-peat. Nick Honick. How are we doing tonight, Nick?
We're cold, but we're glad to be here.
It is a cold night. We're recording this just after the Bucks kind of had a semi-embarrassing loss to the New York Knicks. Not that they shouldn't have any win as a guarantee in the column, but I don't know. Tonight there just wasn't a lot of energy. At least from what I saw, it seems to be kind of same old Bucks. They get up for the big games, and the kind of mediocre teams they don't really.
Yeah, they've got a history, and it's not just this year. It seems as long as I've been a Buck fan, outside of a handful of years, they always are playing up to their competition or playing down, depending on the level of the competition. Some of that's going to be you're a young team. It's the growing pains of being a young team, but at the same time, it's frustrating to hang in there, beat Golden State, hang in with there, and almost beat them a second time, and then go out there and just get your ass kicked by some scrub team and lose to the Lakers.
But, these are the games like tonight against the Knicks where, like, a team like the Bucks, you'd think they'd come out fired up against this team because, playing against the Knicks, they're a team that's kind of in the same tier of the NBA that we're in right now. So, like, these are all chances to prove ourselves. And, it always matters to win on an opposing team's home court and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's that lack of energy that you mentioned, Jake, and also, like, just an extreme lack of consistency with these guys. Night in and night out, it feels like you don't know what you're going to get from anyone.
Well, I haven't checked the TMZ Twitter, so I don't know if they were out in the finest New York clubs last night. Maybe that has something to do with it. An off day tends to not be a good thing for this team, as history has shown.
Yeah, and it very well could be. They're in a big city, and they did have their little fiasco in Los Angeles, but they didn't. To me, against the Lakers, they came out and they seemed flat and no energy. They at least came out and it seemed energy today because they jumped out to the big lead and then they just weren't hitting their shots tonight. Giannis especially is in some sort of funk right now, which is, again, maybe growing pains, whatever. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't look confident in his shot to me right now. And on the other end, Middleton has been shooting lights out, finally playing up to his contract.
Since it came up, the TMZ, the Bucks night out.
I don't like this look in your eye right now.
No, one of the reasons I love listening to this podcast is, like, even, when I'm not on it, like, I hear you guys talk and, like, I want to join in or, like, and when I was listening to you guys talk about that night out,
I was a little fired up.
Well, yeah, but, like, what I was thinking, like, how often does this happen for every team in the NBA? And we don't know it because TMZ just doesn't get the photos. Mm-hmm. We're not there. We're not there. We're not at the team hotel. We really don't know. And I think what ails this team is more than just a little immaturity, I guess. So, I loved listening to you all fired up and pissed off, Jake. But my thing was, I don't know. I don't have the context. Are they out at the clubs every single night? When do they go out to the clubs? When do they do this
stuff? Is it everybody? Who's
the
guys that do
right.
it?
So, I wonder if they're out when they're out. It's a good point. Last night, what were they doing?
I could probably guarantee you Jabari probably just saw Cats or something, some Broadway show.
He seems
like that kind of guy.
Totally.
He's cultured.
This is fun. Yes.
He's a guy I would let babysit my kids.
Yeah, totally. What did every Buck do last night in New York?
I think
funny.
John McLaughlin probably just ate a sub in his hotel room
definitely.
Or something. He's a big sub guy.
But yeah, definitely flat tonight. Total lack of energy, and total lack of consistency, which I think is just the theme to this year. And, the optimist in me wants to just say that's growing pains. But, this is a team, the Knicks are a team that's passing us. They're a team that didn't make the playoffs last year. And now they're probably positioned to at least be in the, playing for that 7th, 8th seed, and we won't be. And that's why these losses are frustrating, because we didn't even really give them much of a game.
Well, you mentioned growing pains, and I'm sure it's part of it, but I look at it, and it doesn't feel like it's just that. It feels like there's something underlying, like beneath the surface with this team that we don't know about, especially with Giannis lately. Because to me, the rut he's been in, it's more than just his jump shots not falling or he looks timid with the ball. Like, there's something mentally going on with him. And I hope it's not like a rift between him and the team, but certain things you see him react emotionally. Like, tonight he missed a couple jumpers in a row, and typically you want to see a guy just kind of shake it off, but you could see him, I think he said he looked to the skies and threw his palms in the air, like, what the hell else do I have to do? And I don't like seeing that out of him, because I really think for this current team as constructed, they're going to go as Giannis goes. So if he's in a mental rut, it would really, really hurt my, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It would hurt my thoughts, my opinions on this team long term, more so than just like a shooting slump.
Yeah, and I agree. Something, and we talked about this quite a bit in the last episode, whether he was being frozen out or if he was trying to send a message that, we don't know. I don't know what's going on in the locker room, but it definitely seems that there's some sort of disconnect there in terms of his engagement in the game at times, and that's troubling because we all want him to be that superstar. He's probably, of all the guys on the team, physically, he has the most potential to be that guy. Jabari certainly has an outstanding, potential there as well. But in my mind, Giannis has the higher ceiling. So it is troubling to see whatever it is. Whether it's teammates freezing him out and they don't like him, or if the coaching staff's losing him. It'd be interesting to get all these guys to talk off the record. We'll never get that, and we're not in the locker room in these private meetings and practice and all that. But there are definitely some troubling things there, and it'll be interesting to see because we're now in January. We're coming up quickly on the trade deadline right now. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Bucks are going to do at the trade deadline, and what pieces do they think are expendable. And I hope it's not Giannis.
Well, and this team, they have the talent to be a lot better than they are, but it's becoming more and more apparent that the fit is just not there. So, as you said, it is going to be telling with whoever is calling the shots, because that's still a mystery to Bucks fans, or some people it's not a mystery, they're convinced it's Kidd. I'm not so sure anymore what the hell's going on with them, but it's going to be interesting to see if they recognize that these pieces just don't fit, and you see a ton of movement, or maybe it's just a minor move, but granted, you do have to give it some time, I suppose, when you have so many new pieces. But again, it's an eye test for me. Like, I look at it and it just doesn't seem that these guys are going to be a fit together.
Yeah, and that's one of the concerns going into the season was, how do Giannis and Jabari fit together, and where does Greg Monroe fit? Is that going to slow us down?
How's he going to replace the legendary status of Zaza Pachulia, the greatest Milwaukee Buck of all time, according to most Bucks fans?
Yeah, so
we'll get into that.
So yeah, there's definitely some concerns there, and we're coming up on the halfway point. We're not there yet. We are 39 games into the season, so 2 more games will be at the halfway point, which is what do we got this week? We've got Tuesday and Wednesday. So Wednesday will be the official halfway point, and I don't know that we have any less questions now how it's all going to fit together than we did going into the season. It doesn't...
Probably more.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's fitting well, and it's going to be the coaching and the GM and all that. They're going to have to figure out what to do from here.
That said, are you guys happy mostly with, the rotations and the minutes that guys are getting, or do you feel like... Because I know early in the season I wasn't happy because I thought Bayless and Vasquez were playing too much. Well, they solved that problem, both of them, by getting injured. I feel like the rotations don't bother me too much. Where are you guys at?
It seems as since Joe Prunty took over for Jason Kidd, who's nursing his injury or taking a vacation, whatever, however you want to look at it, it seems that he's kind of shortened them up, which to me is always a good thing. Maybe not so much early in the season, but as you get closer and closer to what you hope is going to be playoffs or crunch time, you want to have, 8, maybe a 9-man rotation. That's it. So I do like where they're going as far as that is concerned. And I do like where the offense is headed. Seeing Chris Middleton especially, not just the usage, but the way that he's being used, and it's going up because early in the season it seemed like they were hell-bent on him being a post-up player, and really his strength has always been spot-up shooting, coming off of screens, coming off of picks, and just being a jump shooter. And he's really, really been doing that a lot more lately. He's looking more and more like the player that we thought we were getting when we signed him to that big deal.
Yeah, the stats don't lie with Middleton. You know, it's he passes the eye test, he passes the stats right now. I don't know if it's, I'd have to look at the game logs, but you know, the last 8-9 games he's playing as well as anybody in the NBA in terms of offensively. And he's still out there, you know, he's still a good defender. But yeah, I think his 3-point shooting percentage is 46 or 47% on the year or something. I know
it's higher than even last year.
It's the highest of his career. So we signed him to this contract extension based on his past performance, and now he is arguably playing better than he has before, which is what you hope from a young player, you know. So, you know, early in the season, the first 10 games or so, he was struggling. I know I went to, I think it was game number 8, was Jabari's first game.
I was there.
Nick was there as well, and right before the game, I wasn't sitting with the Cream City Clash, but I was sitting maybe 10 rows in front of them. I was in the same section, just in front of them. Had scored some sweet tickets on StubHub for like $25. And right before the game, they got word that he no longer wanted to use the money and be called, Cash Middleton. You know, he wanted to go away from that because he felt he was underperforming, and I don't know if he's going to go back to it or not, but he's certainly earning it right now.
He's shooting 45.1% from 3 coming into tonight's game, so that's pretty damn good any way you slice it.
Yeah, and I don't know where he was today. I know at one point I was listening to the radio as I drove over here to record this podcast, and he was only 3 for 9 from the field, so he was struggling early. But then I know he hit a few shots after that. He was 1 for 3 from 3 points today, so that's going to go down a tiny bit. But you know, at this point, that's a small sample size. Probably not going to budget an inch.
Well, there's if you frequent the Real Jam fan forums, there was a lot of debates going on about Chris Middleton in the past week and kind of what his worth is, and that a lot of people who I tend to agree with on this side of the argument is that he is maybe the biggest keeper on the team right now, save for maybe Giannis for me, just based on potential. But he's a modern-day NBA player. And I think a big problem with the Bucks roster is we have a very old-school roster, pacing-wise, and just the style that, you know, we want to pound it to Greg Monroe and kind of take our time with that. But Middleton is more tailor-made for the NBA in that it seems to be all about if you can load it up from 3 or take high-percentage shots at the rim. And he definitely has shown. I mean, shooting 45% from 3 is. I mean, I don't have it in front of me. That has to be top 5 in the league, I would think.
I'll pull up the stats while we're doing this. We'll get back to that. But yeah, I agree that from a current value, you know, if you want to look at advanced stats and, you know, go like wins above replacement or something, I'd be hard pressed to say that he's not the most valuable player on the team right now. If you're gonna pick a team MVP, it's probably him because he hits the threes, he plays the defense, he pretty much does everything that you could want out of your number 2. I can't really, you know, he's not the best shooting guard in the NBA, but he does everything you want at a very good level.
Well, and that's a position that, you know, the drop off is really quick, and there's not a lot of great shooting guards.
I mean, he's probably top 3 to 5, I guess. I would say shooting guard, because the other thing that I failed to mention is he's a two-way player. I mean, he plays very good defense on the ball, which is great given that he's kind of athletically limited. So, to me, I'm glad we have him. We have him for a great deal for a long time here, because one of the things they were debating on Real GM was like, you know, would you trade him for a top 5 pick? And as much as I am a draft guy, I'm looking at this particular draft, and I think outside of the top 2, I don't think I would trade Chris Middleton for any pick, because you know what you're getting with the guy. He's 24 years old, and you have him locked up on a fair deal for quite a bit. So I'm more than happy with Middleton, and I never really there was some panic in regards to Chris Middleton early in the year, and I never really felt that with him. He's just kind of a slow starter, it seems.
You know, like also, like, with this team, with this year, they kind of did hand it over to the youth for the most part. And, you kind of wonder, like, where they're supposed to be, right now. Like, they're still finding their way. They're still trying to gel together and fit together. I personally don't think there's enough shooting in the starting lineup right now to... something's got to change. You need a replacement for Carter Williams. Maybe you need a stretch five. But...
long term, they certainly they need to get more up to date as far as what the NBA is now in that starting lineup, because you have one very good shooter in your starting lineup in Chris Middleton, and Jabari has struggled this year. Giannis has struggled this year. Carter Williams has never been a shooter. Greg Monroe is not a shooter, so that's not going to typically give you a lot of long-term success in today's NBA. It's a spacing issue mainly too, because if you don't have anybody to stretch the floor that on defense, it makes it a lot easier for opposing teams to just collapse. So you're right. It's long term. That's something that they need to shake up. Although I will say, I think Michael Carter Williams is having a better year than a lot of people are giving him credit for.
Yeah.
In that it seems like he's playing within himself a little bit more. He knows his limitations. Is he a long-term piece for this team? I don't know. I probably tend to think not, but I can't really say he's been that bad for the team this year.
He's especially, to me, in the last 7 to 10 games, he's really kind of playing better than he was early in the season. He just put up 20 and 12 the other night. Not tonight. I don't know what his stats are tonight. I don't have the box score in front of me, but
he struggled big time.
Yeah, I have been more impressed. Since he came back to the starting lineup, maybe not right away the first game or two when he came back to the starting lineup, I felt like he struggled, but since then he's been playing more within his game. He's hit a few jump shots, but I've seen more driving and runners in the lane. I haven't noticed as many stupid turnovers. That really bothered me early, because that was always the most maddening thing, was the turnovers. I know he's flawed in terms of his jump shot, but the unforced errors of, kicking it off his leg or a bad pass or whatever it was on any given game, I feel like those are down, and I'll have to look at the stats down the road. But yeah, he's definitely not playing as bad as some people would have you think, and especially as of late, he's playing better. But I still don't think he's the long-term answer. Real quick, back to the Chris Middleton. He's 6th in the NBA in 3-point percentage. Behind, going from 6 to 1 is Jared Dudley at 5. Omri Caspi, Brandon Rush, J.J. Redick, and Kawhi Leonard is up at the top.
Wow.
Kawhi Leonard shooting 49.3. So yeah, that's and there's enough of a gap between the others that he's not really, and he's just ahead of Steph Curry. Steph Curry's actually at 44.8. Granted, Steph Curry's taken
Jared
twice.
Bayless is in the top 10.
Yeah, Steph Curry's taken 362 3-pointers versus Chris Middleton's 182.
Somewhat of a disparity.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a, but Steph Curry is 65 ahead of anyone else. James Harden's only taken 297. So,
well, yeah, and looking at some of these names, I think you for sure would go Kawhi Leonard. I think he's the best shooting guard in the NBA. And I think Chris Middleton is in the conversation for maybe second, third with Klay Thompson. But those three guys, to me, I think are the elite in the NBA this year.
Well, and Kobe.
Oh, Kobe.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, Kobe.
It is sad to see his carcass get thrown out there every night.
Yeah, and
okay, here's the thing. I heard, I think it was it Genie Bus? Somebody said, this year, the only thing that matters is Kobe. That's what this year is about for the Lakers. But to me, it's if you were to have, a traveling funeral, and you just took this body around and just displayed it for all these different cities. Some sort of world leader died, and that's what they decided to do. A ceremonial world tour funeral. That's what I see with Kobe.
That's actually the idea of embalming our bodies in the U.S. that actually came about because of Abraham Lincoln when he was assassinated. That's actually what they did with his body. That he was really the first person of note to be embalmed. They took his body around the country on a tour. And now most people get embalmed if you don't get cremated, but that's kind of where the practice started.
Well,
So what you're saying is that Kobe Bryant is basically modern day Abraham Lincoln.
I guess so.
Been assassinated, and we're
now that I know that, I'm going to put this
this
out there, and my wife can hear me. She's in the next room. Like, my last wishes, upon my death is I want to be embalmed and just taken on a tour. Like,
where do you want to go?
Well, I want to go everywhere, and like, I don't care if nobody shows up. Like, just leave me sitting there for a few hours. Just like, I'll know,
Oh, and my wife doesn't listen to the podcast, and she's homesick, but I did tell her that I want to be cremated because, that's why.
Like, now that we're on the subject, how do you after you die, what do you want to happen to you?
I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's got real morbid real quick here.
Well, that's what happens when you're a Bucks
we're
contemplating.
Yeah. We go from talking to the Bucks to contemplating our own deaths and our burial plans. So that's fun.
Every city I go to, I want a ceremonial jersey like to be thrown on me.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, the wife says not going to happen.
Whatever.
So that puts that. But yeah, definitely Chris Middleton's for sure top 5 shooting guard in the NBA right now. I'd go roster to roster, but Kawhi Leonard, Klay Thompson, Chris Middleton, maybe
Bradley Beal.
Yeah, maybe I'm not a huge
DeRozan's good.
Yeah, DeRozan's good. I'm not a huge fan of James Harden personally. I don't like the way he plays, but you have to put him in the discussion. So yeah, that's he's definitely a top 5 in my mind as far as I'm concerned. I'm looking at the list here now of all the shooting guards, and
C.J. McCollum, I forgot he is.
C.J. McCollum's having a tremendous year. But yeah, everyone's going to agree. I think even if you went to anyone who doesn't follow the Bucks, because a lot of times you talk to the national guys, they don't necessarily pay as much attention to the Bucks because we've been so bad for so long. But I think even they would have to put Chris Middleton in top 10. And I think he's kind of still underrated from a national perspective. Not a lot of people know who he is or anything like that. It's kind of where Kawhi Leonard was there probably 2-3 seasons ago where he was very underrated. I think Chris Middleton's probably underrated from a league-wide standpoint. But
speaking of the national media and from a national perspective, also on Wednesday, Deadspin put out an article about the Bucks. Did you guys see it?
I didn't read the article, but I heard about what the gist of it was. But go on.
The title is "The Bucks Are a Big Fucking Bummer," and I mean I think that sums up this season so far just about what we just about perfectly.
I mean, we went into the season, we were the 6th seed last year. We all thought, you signed Greg Monroe.
Yeah, you had pieces.
You get Giannis, another offseason. Jabari's going to come back at some point. We thought maybe he'd be coming back around now. So I'm still of the mindset that the last 20 games with Jabari were kind of a bonus for me. But you thought maybe Michael Carter-Williams could improve. And I think when we did our season preview, that was with me, you, and Patrick was our guest. And I think
that's probably an embarrassing.
I think you went 46 wins, Pat went 45, and I went 44. So we all thought they'd be, slightly above 500, and here we sit well below 500.
8 games below as of this
point. Yeah, we're 8 games below. We've got 2 road games coming up, or I think we have a home game. Yeah, we play the Bulls at home on Tuesday, and then the Wizards on the road. So it's, in all likelihood, to me, those are probably 2 losses, though I wouldn't be surprised with a win because the Bucks play up and down to their competition. But so you're talking we're probably going to be 15 and 26 at the midway point. So we're on pace for 30 wins, nowhere near 500. It's to say they're a big fucking disappointment is the most accurate headline probably of the last week. You could go through every news story on every subject, and that's probably the most accurate thing that came out this week.
Well, and some people try to be more positive, like, as of late, they're playing a lot better, and it's like, well, yes, that's right, but that's only because they played like complete ass to start, and as of late, they've been playing around 500 basketball, so if 500 to you is acceptable, that's great, but it's not going to do it for me. I have a kind of a bone to pick with Middleton, though. Like, he kind of led us to that victory over Dallas the other night, so I kind of thought, like, maybe he should have one of those phantom injuries, and he needs to help facilitate the tank at least. But I bring up that Dallas game because you talk about a big fucking joke. This is a big fucking joke to me. The Bucks beat Dallas, Zaza Pachulia, who's starting for Dallas now, and everybody knows we traded him for nothing, blah, blah, blah. He's having a great season. At least, well, I shouldn't say great. Very great for him. Good season for, as far as starting NBA centers go. But Zaza was a little bit upset after the loss, and he went after Squad 6 of all the things to go after, the Cream City Clash.
Creams.
The Creams. Apparently, during the game, the Clash had some chants that were directed to Zaza himself, and they said these offensive things. Sit down, Zaza, and you're a flopper. And Zaza didn't take too kindly to that, and after the game tweeted out about the Cream City Clash that they are classless, and something about go Mavs go. So to me, it just sounded like a bitter guy that was a little bit salty after a loss. This is where the fucking joke comes in. I see Bucks fans, I see the Bucks themselves, I see Alex Lazary on Twitter saying to Zaza, apologizing to Zaza, oh, we're so sorry, that's not what the fans in Milwaukee are like, we love you so much, Zaza, you're still great to us. And I'm thinking, what a fucking joke. Like, why are we apologizing to this guy? Where is this misguided reverence coming from? Why does he deserve an apology for, number one, something that wasn't offensive in the least bit, but keep in mind it is 2016 now, and we're offended by paper cups.
You PC, bro?
Yeah, I'm a PC, bro. But,
fantastic season of South Park.
Yeah,
this was a really good season of South Park this last year.
But we're apologizing to a guy who means nothing in the grand scheme of things for the Bucks. He's not some team legend like Ray Allen. He's not even a good guy by all accounts. That some people call him a good guy. Sure, he's done good things, but he's known to a lot of people in the league by his contemporaries as a dirty player that gets under people's skin. So you talk about a fan section that had some playful chants at you that weren't even that good, to be honest with you, and you take it that personally. Clearly, you're just bitter after a loss, but that's not what bothered me. It made me want to puke, all these people apologizing to him like he was somebody that deserves that. Who gives a shit? He's Zaza fucking Pachulia.
The exact tweet was, tweeted yesterday, Squad 6 or whatever you guys are, you have no class. Bunch of idiots. Tough loss tonight, go Mavs. So, I mean, like, here this guy is calling your fans idiots, and the team basically
and
your biggest fans, people that come to every single game, stand and cheer every single game, and you acknowledge that he's right. The Bucks also posted a photo on Instagram of Michael Carter Williams and Zaza shaking hands prior to the game or something, and they captioned it "family." So, like, clearly, now it's about the apology tour and kissing this guy's ass because the Creams did exactly what they're supposed to do, which is get under opposing players' skin. Like, if they can't even say that, and I suspect that they'll be rained down on even more significantly now, and they're going to be even more PC. What's the purpose of even having them there?
Yeah, it'd be one thing if they went after his family, his kids. There's certain things you don't cross those lines.
Badgers, what the Badger fans were chanting at Diamond Stone yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
They were chanting, you can't read.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so there's...
I mean, that's...
Yeah, that's
a poor look.
I think that's in poor taste, and that's also college versus pro. Yeah. I think pros you can go even a little more. If Diamond Stone was in the pros, I'd take less issue to that than with him and the. I still think it's crossing a line, but I'd take less issue once he's a pro than while he's a college kid. But you didn't go after his family. I don't even know what. I'm sure he's got a wife. I don't know if he has kids. But you left those things alone. His play on the court, his time here as the Bucks. That's all fair game. And it's not like you said. He's pretty much a nobody. Yeah, he was with the team twice. Early on in his career, and then he came back and he did some good things for us on the court. But he is known around the league as a bit of a dirty player. It's not even like he's Andrew Bogut. If Andrew Bogut came back. I was there for one of the games when he came back, and we even showed him a little respect there because he created Squad 6. He is the reason it's there. if anyone deserves some respect as a returning opposing player, it's Andrew Bogut. Ray Allen, whatever. Everyone's going to have their favorite guys, but Zaza Pachulia has done nothing to deserve any sort of respect in that regards. And it's during the game, you're trying to heckle him, get in his head, whatever, and it obviously worked. So to apologize for it when you didn't cross a line, that's just poor taste.
And the fact is, like, already, I know you would agree with this, the Creams are so, like, limited in what they can say. Like, that's part of the reason you and I, Jake, weren't interested in being it anymore, because every time we wanted to do a chant that would push the line a little bit, they would say no. And, like, if the job is to get in the player's head, it's about more than just repetitively yelling. It's about, what are the soft spots that you can kind of poke into to, like, kind of pull them out of the game and into, like, hey, these fans are chanting this thing at me that... And so even, like, what they chanted at Zaza was so... Like,
it was so basic. Like, you could have said that about any number of guys.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, it also just shows that not only is he a douchebag who's a pussy, but he also has no sense of humor. Because I remember chanting at Mo Williams, shave your shoulders when he was shooting free throws, because Mo used to kind of have a hairy back and you could see it, like, through his...
you could see his shoulders
when he was in the Bucks. Yeah. And I think at that point he had already, like, decided to start waxing his shoulders. Because Charlie Bell, I think, had told the people in Real Gym that, they've been saying this about you, so he decided based on that. So anyways, we chanted that at him, and after he hits the free throw, he, like, smiles at us, kind of gives us dabs, totally. From far away, and, like, laughs. Like, so he gets it, and that was way more personal. I mean, what they chanted at Zaza wasn't personal at all, and for him to take offense, like, dude, you're just a pussy. It's the pussification of society, and it kind of goes hand in hand with Twitter and, like, Facebook, and that everybody can instantly have a voice and instantly throw their opinion out there. So he to me, again, salty about a loss, so who can he go after? And whatever, it's pathetic. I guess my idea was we build a, like, plastic bubble around the court, and all the players can play in this bubble. So anybody that yells anything, they have their safe space, and they can't hurt their feelings. And, then, because God forbid, somebody tries to be funny or somebody comes after you if you're playing against their team, these millionaires that play a child's game. It must be so hard to hear somebody yell at you to sit down.
But I don't even think that's the thing you're most outraged about. Like, I think actually the thing you're most outraged about is the fact that, like, he said this stupid thing, and then these Bucks people came in and were, like, kind of agreed with him and apologized for, like, the most innocuous thing possible.
The response should have just been scoreboard. I mean, that's it. You lost the game, get the fuck over it, get it, whatever. See you next year if you're still playing in the league, because you're getting older and you're not going to be around much longer. So
it was interesting. I was reading the Real GM forums after this whole thing kind of broke, which is... if you're a Bucks fan and you have some time on your hands, check them out. There's a lot of very informed people there, but there was kind of this anti-Squad 6 sentiment that came about, which to me that's fine if you don't like it. I disagree. I think it, even if it's cheesy, it still adds volume. It adds some level of...
They're the only thing I hear on TV when I watch a home game nowadays.
If
they come through because there's nothing. Any game I've gone to this season... has been more or less empty, and I'm sure this next home game on Tuesday, which I know Nick is going to, is going to be just full of fibs. So, if not for Cream City Clash, Squad 6, whatever you want to call them, the Bradley Center would be like a library. And that's, that goes back to the reason Andrew Bogut created it in the first place. He said, we would be at games and it would be so quiet. And that is why he created Squad 6. So, they're still doing their purpose. They've been neutered a little bit over the years, but for the players to be upset, Zaza's just a bitch. That's it.
Well, and you're right, Nick. And it's not that I'm that pissed off at Zaza. I just think he's kind of a wussy. But it makes me sick to think that we're apologizing to this guy like he has any sort of importance. Whatever. We'll move on. We have more positive things to talk about. We have the arena. There's been some significant dates announced as far as the construction goes. Excuse me. The construction deadline was officially set at...
July 31st.
July 31st.
Shovels in the ground July 30th. And these are all deadlines, so the possibility is there to start earlier if things are ready. So, yeah, July 31st, shovels in the ground.
Then we have the Bradley Center must be demolished, I believe, 1 year from the completion date of the new arena.
Yeah, so whenever they finish the new arena, which that date was, I believe, September 30th, 2018. So, arena's got to be gone or Bradley Center's going to be gone by 2019, September at the latest.
And then we have the parking structure. Currently, the demolition is set to begin of that the main parking structure for the Bradley Center. I think December 31st of this year.
Yep, there's gonna be a lot going on. That's my guess is they're not going to start construction until after the season's over. Probably at this point, that's probably why the July 31st deadline. That's potentially after all the playoffs are done. Not that the Bucks are going to the playoffs, but they're probably. I wouldn't be surprised if any point after the season's over we start seeing shovels in the ground so that they don't have to. They can probably get some of that done prior to next season so as not to disrupt too much traffic for the games themselves.
Well, and then the other big date, and this is the most important one to me, is the renderings and the plans for the arena are to be seen by March 1st. So
that's roughly a month and a half. We're recording January 10th. By the time anyone's listening to this, probably going to be the 11th or 12th. I'm not sure if I'll get this posted tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, so you're talking a month and a half until we're finally going to see renderings, because I believe most of the previous renderings, some of them weren't even, they were fake mocks, faux mocks, whatever you want to call them. They weren't even the real renderings. So that's, to me, is also the most exciting. The other exciting thing was that the city agreed to let them shut down 4th Street to make this outdoor venue, and we haven't seen the renderings or really any idea of what that's going to be. Some sort of outdoor party, beer garden, live music event type place, and that's a go, because that was something they wanted to do, and then at one point in time looked like it wasn't going to happen, and now it's going to happen. So we're getting the arena plus the full outdoor experience, whatever it ends up being. It's going to be interesting to see these March 1st. I've got it circled on my calendar. I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, I've been waiting a long time to see it, and it seems like maybe they've kind of had it in their back pocket in case a season like this happens.
Those renderings too are like anytime they're building a new building, I get super interested in just seeing what's it going to look like, and how's it going to fit in. We've had to live with the 4 or 5 pictures that they've given us for about a year now, so it's like, let's see this new stuff. I'm ready. Yeah,
and I know I've gone back and looked at the pictures several times. Sometimes I'm just like, what did it look like again? Because we're all so excited. Every Bucks fan is excited about this new arena coming. And I know, from having talked to you on other things, I know Nick is pretty fond of cool architecture in general. I know he built that Falling Waters Lego thing, Frank Lloyd Wright Lego Falling Waters. So Nick is big into architecture as well as being a Bucks fan. Little more cultured than Jake and I probably here.
Well, I find myself I look at the renderings that we already have, and I'm zooming in, and it kind of reminds me of being a kid and trying to watch the Spice Channel through the scrambled really the cable, the AV switch and that. But
trying to
see what I can
move the antenna, try to get it as unscrambled as possible, see if you can get any glance of a nipple or something in those renderings.
But you're right. I wonder about
the Spice Channel.
No, if there's anything to the idea that the season's kind of gone south on us. We lived in this. It seems to be a brief period now where it was super cool to be a Bucks fan, and now we're kind of maybe getting into the people just hating on them again because they're not having success or whatever. But hopefully, the arena renderings and the groundbreaking and stuff will, keep that. Or help rebuild some of that excitement, and that's why I'm not totally fully in on the tank yet, because to me, if this team could get on a little run here where they were playing consistent basketball and the young guys were doing good, and Jabari was rounding into form and all that stuff, and they had something happen in the second half maybe where they play well, they don't lose as many games as they did in the first half, we could kind of get some of that momentum maybe back, and I don't know. I know we want the player and everything, but
Yeah, and I'm on the tank, but hey, if they go on a run, I think Fear the Deer they went 26-4 or 25. Yeah, I don't know, 24-6, something like that after the John Salmon trade.
This team doesn't have that in them, and I'm not sure.
No, but you never. I don't think that team necessarily had it in them either. I guess they did. You had a young Brandon Jennings and Bogut was kind of coming to his own.
They were vets, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, but if it will take a run like that for them to make the playoffs, though. That's they're going to have to make some sort of run like that because they're in such a hole right now. They're currently 13th in the East. There are not only they'll have to jump 6 teams to make it in the playoffs.
That's
or
the thing,
5
though. Like you guys want to tank, and I get that, but when we tanked for Jabari, and I was fully on the tank too, it was we were in a situation where we were playing all these crappy old vets and everything like that. It really is hard for me to want to see a team that is predominantly playing our young players. I can't want them to lose, and it was easy for me during the tank year for me to actually be angry when they would accidentally win. But I can't bring myself to do it to these young guys because I want to see them succeed. And even the guys that we don't feel like maybe are part of the future of this team, the Michael Carter Williamses, I want to see them do well too because I want to trade them for something great instead of something crappy. So I don't know that you guys have full-heartedly got on board the tank as any of us were during the year that we got Jabari.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not to that level.
It was laughable that year because they geared up to make a postseason run, and that's how bad they failed. Mm-hmm. You had the worst record in the history of your franchise. Yeah,
I'm definitely not that level where I'm actively cheering for losses, and I do appreciate that we are seeing the young guys out there. Our starting lineup is all 25 or younger. So we're still. I think we're the youngest. Maybe Philadelphia's younger. We're near the youngest team.
Is it second youngest?
Yeah, somewhere
I
in
think
there.
We're the youngest now after Philly signed Elton Brand, and that took their average. Their
way up. He's 65 years old or something.
He's an art member.
That was a head scratcher for sure.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't get that for Philadelphia because you're well on the tank. But
they just brought in Colangelo or whatever, right? Yeah. Or somebody
they brought in some. Was it Colangelo? I don't remember who they brought. But yeah, so you're right. I'm not on the tank like I was that year. I'm on the tank from the angle that there are a couple really good players this season that I would love to have on the Bucks team, and it's exciting to have that only because I don't think we have a Fear the Deer year type run in us, so I don't think we can make the playoffs. We have to jump 5 teams to get the 8th seed, and then we're playing Cleveland and probably facing a first round sweep. If we could jump 6 teams and get to 7 and play Toronto in the first round, as the standings are currently, I guess then I'd be maybe excited about this going into the playoffs. I don't like the idea of going in and playing Cleveland.
So if you want to tank, what do you do?
Oh, I just want the young players to play. If they win, I'm happy for them. I don't want Giannis and Jabari and Middleton to that extent. Those 3, because those are 3 that I view as part of the future for now. You don't want them to be discouraged and hate playing for the Bucks because we're a loser. There's nothing fun about that. You don't want to go into it's a job to them, but you don't want to go into your job if you hate it. So. I certainly for them I'm fine with wins, but from a good of the franchise standpoint, getting a better pick is better than finishing 10th.
Well, it segues perfectly into what our closing topic is going to be here, and that's what's your ideal season from this point on or to the rest of the season? What would you like to see happen? For me, Chuck, you kind of hit on it briefly. It's just play the young guys, but also just be realistic about where you are as a franchise. To me, it's becoming more apparent that last year was probably more of an anomaly. Just the right mix of veterans and young players coming together, and you just had a good amount of chemistry combined with the East just being wretched. This year, the East is a lot better. So I think the playoffs, even as an 8th seed, is a very big long shot at this point, particularly because this team doesn't play defense. They don't have a defensive cog in the middle like the Fear the Deer team had with Andrew Bogut. And it's so clear that you're still trying to fit all the pieces together in this puzzle. And I think it's going to take more than just this season to go. So my ideal season would be you try to move, first of all your expiring deals, which are at least the ones that will have value. That should be O.J. Mayo. I think you can get maybe a young prospect, not some blue chipper prospect, but somebody that you could maybe project to be a rotation player for, or a second round pick, something along that nature. Same thing with Bayless if he can get healthy. He's having arguably the best season of his career, so I definitely move those two if I can. And also Greg Monroe. Look, I know we signed the guy, and some people think it's a bad look to trade him, given that we don't get free agents in Milwaukee, but at the end of the day, it's a business. You're doing him a favor by trading him to a contender. You're doing yourself a favor if you can get maybe a first-round pick for him in an expiring contract, and you can just kind of get a redo. But I've always maintained this team doesn't need to be good until year 2 of the new arena, so we have a long time to build this thing into a championship contender. You know you're going to get people in the seats in that new arena for the first year because of the curiosity. Same thing happened with Miller Park. Then the Brewers were terrible and nobody came. So you have some time here. Be patient. Like they said they were going to be patient. They said they weren't going to rush the process. Lo and behold, guess what? They rushed the process. Now they kind of have to reap what they sow. Try to, in my eyes, they need to just kind of do a reset, put the ball in Jabari and Giannis's hands and see what happens. But that's the ideal, to me, rest of the season.
I guess, to me, I want to see more consistency out of everyone. I think that's the growth. That's the next step that these young guys need to take. Is you know we talk about Giannis, for example. There's a game where Giannis will score 22 points, on really like a high shooting percentage, and he'll hit a couple nice jumpers, and then the next game he'll have like 4 points, and it's like, we know he can be that 20-point guy. So what happens on those 4-point nights, like where his shot just isn't falling? I'd love to see him be more consistent. I'd love to see Jabari start to round into form. I haven't been impressed with anything that I've seen from him this year. I know he's coming off the ACL, but I mean his jumper looks like crap.
The disturbing thing with him too is he looks more than fine athletically. So
right.
It's the rest of his game. If he's not going to be the elite scorer that you thought you were getting with him, and he's not going to rebound, and he's not going to play defense, and he's not going to be a great distributor, like, what is he really bringing to the table other than maybe 1 or 2 good dunks a night?
Right, because he's terrible at defense, and I mean, like, there's just like, the Bucks defense when it's good, it's like last year, most of the guys out there you would say are good defenders, and now when you have Monroe out there and Jabari out there, it just, the breakdowns just come every single.
It's the status quo.
Down
It's not a
the court.
defensive breakdown.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not scoring enough either. I mean, there's a lot of 85-point games. So I guess I'm not saying I need them to win a ton of games. It doesn't look like they're going to make the playoffs at this point. But I would really like to start to see them gel a little bit more, and beat the teams that they should beat. So I don't know. I mean, I want to see them start to be consistent, and they're just not right now.
Yeah, and that's with Jabari. To me, the big thing is his jump shot. There are times, a couple times a game, where he'll explode to the lane and he'll just blow past his defender and he's fine. His jump shot seems to be a lot of bricks, and maybe he just needs an off season. I don't know what sort of workout he was even able to do this year, coming into the year, coming off the ACL. I don't know. I'm viewing this, for me, this is basically Jabari's rookie year, because he only played, 20 games last year before the injury, and now he's there. So to me, this is a rookie year to a certain extent.
But even,
Go ahead.
I mean, even if it is a rookie year,
That's what I was going to say.
You see these other guys out there that are rookies.
Oh, yeah.
Kristaps Porzingis, who we got to watch tonight. Karl Anthony Towns, Wiggins last year.
No, I was going to say, even if it was a rookie year, it would still be very disappointing to me, given that he was hyped as the most NBA-ready guy coming out of the draft, and that even if the defense was never going to be there, you were always going to get this elite scoring. And granted, I didn't expect it to be elite in the rookie year, but from what I see in his actual rookie year last year and then what he's shown this year, you can't help but be disappointed in that.
If he can't make jumpers, he'll never be anything.
Oh yeah, he's got to hit that jump shot to keep the defense honest, and he's not. He'll hit that 14-foot jump shot now and then, but not at a high enough rate. So that's definitely where. I mean, it's basically the same problem Giannis has. Giannis needs to hit that jumper more consistently. Both of them have the same problem. They can blow by their defender at times, and they'll get a nice highlight dunk and posterize someone.
Yeah.
But especially in today's NBA, where shooting is such a premium, they need to be able to hit those shots. And especially we've got Greg Monroe in there, who's not going to do anything outside of 10 feet. So we're having these spacing problems that we worried about going into the season. So, for me, I just want to see the young guys play. The results don't matter. I want to see Giannis and Jabari both get more confidence in their shot, see it start falling. Michael Carter-Williams, if he can keep playing like he has been playing for the last week or so, maybe 2 weeks, I'm fine trading him. I don't think he's the long-term answer at point guard. I want a point guard who can D and 3. That's what I want, and pass the ball.
He's got a great D.
Yeah, but not so much on the defense.
His defense is good.
Yeah, his defense is good. But, his shot is, it's not falling. He can't really reliably hit the three-point shot. So, certainly if he can keep playing like he is, the trade deadline from today is 39 days. It's February 18th for anyone who doesn't have that day on their calendar. So February 18th, I believe, at 3 or 6 p.m., whatever it is. But that's the trade deadline. So we got a little over a month left. I want to see them max out the value of maybe Michael Carter-Williams, O.J. Mayo, Monroe, whoever. In my mind, the three untouchables right now are Giannis, Jabari, and Middleton. And I guess Vaughn. We haven't seen enough of Vaughn to really know what he is.
His PER is under 3. I'm just trying to point that out for the season. Not a great start.
Yeah, he's not playing much at all, which
hard to get anything.
Especially as a shooter, I feel like you have to be out there shooting and getting that experience. There are certain guys who can come off the bench and just light you up for 15, 20 points, but most NBA players, they need to get consistent points to hit that shot consistently. For whatever reason that is, because they're practicing and they're throwing up tons of shots in the gym, but there's only certain guys who can come off the bench and do that at a moment's notice. I want to see the young guys. I'd like to see more Vaughn in the second half of the season. Let's see what we got in the rookie. I mean, he's 19, or is he 20 now? I don't know if he had his birthday. So I know he was the youngest. He's the youngest player in the NBA. I don't know if he's had his birthday. So let's get more Vaughn.
Ennis.
Yeah, more Ennis too. Yeah, I don't think Ennis is really ever going to be anything other than a backup off the bench point guard. But hey, I'd like to see him.
Might as well find out.
Yeah, might as well find out if he can do anything. So to me, it's all about the youth. And due to injuries, we've been mostly seeing the youth anyways, but I'd still like to see more Ennis and more Vaughn.
Well, and in that regard, too, how great would it be to see, in 4 of the next 6 games, Jabari has 20. Those are the kind of things that I think would be really encouraging. I'm not sure that he's cracked 20 this year yet, or maybe ever in his career.
I think he did once.
He did against Golden State,
I think he did in one game, but yeah, he's put up a lot of 12 and 14 point games, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah, let's see him get 20. Let's see Vaughn have a game where he hits 4 threes. Those are the kind of things I think that would get me back into the place where I'm like, hey, yeah, we're still a couple years away, but these guys can do it at this level.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then, the big thing going forward, the trade deadline, I'm really curious. Last year at the trade deadline, I know I was, and I think Jake was. I'm not sure, Nick, if we talked about it, but I was pleasantly surprised that the Bucks moved on from Brandon Knight. I was afraid because up until that point, everything from Kidd, he just publicly said, he's our guy, he's our guy, he's our guy. And then at the 11th hour of the trade, literally, I think as the trade deadline's expiring, traded. and we found out, right as the trade deadline, maybe even a couple minutes after the trade deadline expired, we learned that. So, this will be very telling. And I said that last year. I guess every year until we see a pattern, because we've only had this ownership group for one trade deadline. So until we know what they're going to do consistently, this will be a very telling trade deadline. Are they going to ship off some expiring contracts to get assets for the future? Are they going to make a win now move? We don't know. Under the Herb Cole regime, we're in the playoff hunt. They're gonna trade probably Jabari. If this was Herb Cole regime, we're probably trading Jabari for some sort of win now move, and then Jabari will go on and blow up somewhere else, a la Tobias Harris for JJ Redick. Not that I'm still bitter about that, but this will be very telling, and probably, honestly, for me, the ownership group, we're gonna have to see it for probably 4 or 5 years before I trust them to know what their mindset is come the trade deadline and how we're doing. Because last year we had a much better record, and we made a future move. So hopefully, with a worse record, we will see the same. And then that would that'd get a lot of trust from me as a fan if we don't make some stupid win now move where we're clearly the losers on the losing side of the trade. So yeah, that's what I want in the future or this season.
I also want to see the Creams get under some other player's skin, and the Bucks not try to placate that player. I want the Creams to just get aggressive.
Yeah, we were talking about that. That I was on my mind when we were talking Mo Williams. There were a couple players in the first season of Squad 6 that we got reactions out of the players, and then the next preseason we went up to Green Bay and we had the
Dick Pavetta?
Yeah, well, Dick Pavetta threatened to eject us out of the game because we were heckling him a little bit.
And
but that was
yelling at
that was Charlotte.
Darius Miles.
Yeah, Darius Miles about how great he was in NBA Jam, and he kind of pointed up and laughed at us. That was a really fat team in preseason because they had Darius Miles and so we've had other players react to Squad 6 in the past, and for the most part, they get it. That we're out there having fun. We're there to heckle them. I mean, who hasn't? You play basketball at the YMCA or a playground when you're in grade school, and you heckle people. It is what it is. You talk a little trash. And Zaza gets butthurt over it, but I'm pretty pissed off that the Bucks and some fans felt the need to apologize to it. He's not on our team. He doesn't fucking matter. If they were heckling our own players, then you apologize. But heckling the other team, go fuck yourself.
And on that note, go fuck yourself. That's going to be the Buck Life podcast for this week. We should be back
2 weeks. I'm on vacation next. Yeah, I'm on vacation next week. I'm going to go down on a cruise and watch the Packers playoff game and maybe some Bucks games. I don't know if I'll get them. We have satellite TV, but I'll definitely watch the Packers playoff game from a cruise ship somewhere in the Caribbean. So that'll be nice.
And Nick, thank you for being on again. First repeat. We always enjoy having you. But any final thoughts?
Yeah, go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Go somewhere.
Very, very simple and straightforward. You guys all have to stay warm, and we should hopefully have some arena news soon. That's what I'm most excited about for the second half of the season, honestly. Arena stuff. So take it easy.